Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Cynthia, and if you're in the United States, today's the 4th of, well, today's the 4th of July in the United States, and I just thought I would come on and do a quick layout. I got inspired to do a reading, and I was kind of trying to think on what, and then I remembered my Scorpio playlist. So in honor of my friend Nicole, who's coming over, they're a friend that I met back when I was in my 20s working in community mental health in Vancouver, and I adore them, and I think they still use she pronouns, but they'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'm adjusting to folks at times that are open to more than one pronoun, so sometimes I get hung up on that. Be patient with me because I have a panic about getting things wrong, which is not anybody else's burden to bear but my own. But I remember back when we met thinking, because I have Scorpio rising and I can be kind of intense, and they are a Scorpio, and I remember as we were becoming friends, I had this experience. Like now I wouldn't be nearly as cautious, but back then I was like, we're both so intense. I don't know if we can really be friends. We're both intense women, which seems really funny to think back on now. But I like that story, and sometimes I relive it with them when we hang out. And they're bringing their dog out here. I live in the country, so it's a little bit quieter. And I used to love fireworks, but I have really come to hate them, not just for what they do for wildlife, in terms of really scaring wildlife, but people's animals, and then also veterans. And it's just, I'm often kind of just waiting for it to be over nowadays because of the fireworks and the fire hazard and whatnot. But Nicole's coming over. She's bringing her dog Mabel, and we'll just have a nice fire and a cookout, and I think it'll be a peaceful day. And it reminded me that I could do a Scorpio reading this morning. So this is for y'all out there with Scorpionic energies, or if you love a Scorpio and want to cross watch a reading for them, any way you like it. Oops, and I noticed that I don't have my glasses, so give me a second while I grab those. And I literally just got up, so normally I try to look a little bit nicer for these layouts, but I wanted to kind of hurry up and jump on it and get one uploading while I get ready for the day. So for Scorpio, what is going to be important for Scorpio to know? I saw an article they posted somewhere in a local paper for the state of Oregon, which is where I live, that more and more towns are doing like light shows instead of fireworks, which I think is a great alternative. I know it misses all the excitement of the fire and the flash and the bang and all that, but I think that some of those drone light shows are just incredible, which to me is a really wonderful way to still celebrate all the light, but not have to terrorize the wildlife and make everyone pay for the noise, and the fire department too. Like, it's a horrible day for them. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here and for your support. And I'm sending all my love out there to you, Scorpios. What's a general message for Scorpio today? What wants to come out? Fighting for justice is at the heart of the matter. That might be some of that 4th of July energy coming through. Look for what's being left out. What is the missing element? And you hold the power in this situation. Don't forget to wield your power with ethics and from your heart. So I hope that's encouraging. If you've been feeling in any way worried or disempowered about something, or caught up in the stress of some kind of battle that's about fairness and justice in your life. This is a message saying that you're empowered, and make sure that you maintain your own ethics as you come into that realization yourself in the actual circumstance, that you keep your head in, you know, in something that's going to benefit the most good for all, right? I think is how they phrase it. I don't know how they phrase what I'm even trying to say. I just got my coffee still brewing. What else? Fighting for justice. Something might be being left out. There might be a part of this circumstance that you haven't seen yet, or that's yet to be revealed, or that if you know what's being left out, there's some clarity in examining what's being left out that will bring you some clarity here. Love, strength, enchantment. So we've got two cards here, and this is so great too, because I was thinking last night about wishing that I was more adept at utilizing timeline understanding in my tarot layouts, and wishing I could get a sense sometimes of a particular time, like in the 3D chronological or linear aspect of time, like what kind of time frame are we looking at? That's something that often eludes me in my layouts, that I feel like it's really immediate, but then it doesn't really play out until like 4 to 5 months later, which often surprises me, and for me personally doesn't always feel as useful. I'm someone who likes quick relief, and it's not for tarot to bend to my will, but I noticed when I've been drawn to this deck more, this deck with this tree of life. I can't remember what it's called, but I noticed that it has cards in there with time frames, which I really appreciate. I think they're in reference to the Wheel of the Year, but I had been asking and kind of internally wishing I had more of a sense of time in my readings, and then as I had been being drawn to this deck again after not using it for like a year, I see that this deck has time frames woven into it. So I'm going to start using it more to see if it helps us understand. And we've got 2 time frames here. So love, there's justice in love is something that's on your mind. So you might be setting boundaries with a loved one. This could be something as large and global scale as the love that we feel for the Palestinian people and wanting for their freedom, liberation, and end of their terrorization and trauma. Strength is here. So that fell under the look for what is being left out. What is the missing element? So that might be that you're feeling tired, and right now, this time frame is right now, the present moment, because it's June 10th through July 7th. So you may be feeling like wondering if you can keep going in this journey of love that you're in with someone or with a group. And then enchantment is here, and it speaks to early winter or late winter, early spring, February 18th to March 17th. So there's an enchantment card here, which can be positive or negative. I've recently had some of the negative experiences of enchantment or glamour happen in my life, where I had an experience like that when I broke my wrist. I won't go too deeply into that, but I've had a couple of those experiences lately. And it's the card with it, though, is remember that you hold the power. So you may be wondering if you've fallen under some kind of an illusion, and this is like a confirmation that you haven't. And late winter, early spring might have meaning for you. It might have something to do with this love that happened back then, or that's to come. So now I'm going to pull some tarot. Actually, no, I'm going to pull it. Ink blot first before doing tarot. See if I can spray into any of this. Enchantment, strength, and love. So I think an important theme to hang on to in maybe some experience that has a little bit of an illusory quality is that you are empowered. You may not see it. You may be having a little bit of trouble keeping your strength up right now in the present moment. And, but you're not disempowered here, which I hope is reassuring. You have the key. You have the key here, and then here in this image, the key is locking in to the lock I'm seeing also. The plants that are coming through with these cards are ash tree, oak tree, and the tree of life. So I would look into the meanings of those. Oak is a very masculine tree in the sort of pagan Wiccan Celtic tradition. Ash tree likes water and riparian habitats. And we're talking about Scorpio here. So Scorpio, there might be some medicine for you in the ash tree right now to help you with that feeling of enchantment, either positive or negative, while you fight for what you feel is right in this love situation. So this seems to really be speaking to the present moment here, because what I'm seeing, honestly, as I look deeper in, especially with these two images, is the way that fireworks cascade down after they create their big display and report, and then as they're shimmering and falling, I'm seeing that here. So something is important about this time right now to help you be strong. The present moment is important. What you're doing right now is meaningful. So don't forget that you have power here. You may not feel like you do, but you do. So your moves right now are important. I'm also seeing a car, like a luxury car kind of, or a DeLorean. So time is, the DeLorean means, if you know anything about pop culture, the DeLorean is a time machine in Back to the Future. Linear time is coming out here as a theme. So you might be thinking back on what happened in this relationship in the past. And looking into the past might hold some answers for you about what's missing in the present, as you are trying to feel a sense of empowerment and strength again. I'm also seeing something about hopscotch. I don't know what that means, but that might mean something for you. Playing hopscotch on outside. I'm seeing it on like a sidewalk. Hopscotch is a game that children play where they draw out colored squares with numbers, and you have to jump through them. So it might be something about jumping through the terms of this situation and relationship. It might also be a childhood memory for you. I was listening, I made a playlist the other day to kind of address some feelings I was having, and one of the songs is from, it was made fairly famous in Kill Bill, but it was famous before that. It's a Nancy Sinatra song called Bang Bang, and it's about a long-term love and being shot down by them, either literally or, you know, just I'm shooting you down, rejecting you kind of thing. So that those two themes of child's play, hopscotch, child's play, there's something happening here about maybe you played games in the past, or this relationship had a quality of game playing in the past, and there's a feeling now of looking back on that. Oh, right here. There's also the feeling around that of being observed. Like you might be attracting attention. And I'm seeing again like a schoolyard where there's a fight or something, or a conflict, and all the kids are circling and watching. And sometimes you'll even hear, like in my school anyways, there'd be all fight, fight, fight. Like kids would run to see the fight, right? There might be some quality to that of like you feel on display about this conflict. And there's an element of child's play to it that feels a little bit not so great. Like maybe, because kids can be mean, right? Kids can be kind of cruel. And that's kind of what I'm almost feeling. Like you feel a little bit targeted for some reason. So the car's here again. So there might be literally something about going on a trip. But what's interesting with this DeLorean is that it seems like a trip down memory lane or a trip back in time, but it's a successful trip. It's showing you where you've surrendered and where you've needed to stand your ground. And the facts are that you're on a threshold of stepping into newness where you are seeing that you have power. You're recognizing what you don't want to recreate from the past in terms of child's play. Yeah. The vulnerability is that somebody here in this equation, either in a community or in a love relationship, either friendship or family or romantic, there's been a feeling of indecision and juggling and inability to make a choice. That's in the vulnerability position. So you or somebody else may have felt unable to make a choice in the past. That's something that didn't sit well with you, that you felt kind of victimized by in a way, possibly, but the worst is over. You've had a total surrender, but you're also going to stand your ground going forward. You may be surrendering to the truth of the things that went down in the past, where you got hurt, where there may have been too much involvement in your relationship and too much pettiness, or again, I'm not trying to malign children here, but this is the way children and childlike energy is coming through, is in that kind of cruel way that many people have to navigate in school, right? That school's not a positive experience for everyone growing up. If you're targeted or bullied in any way, and you may have been feeling like that in the past around this love, and you've recognized, the worst is over, but never again. I'm not going to feel bullied in a circumstance where I should feel strong and loved, right? That vulnerability was that there may have been either you or someone else couldn't make a decision or can't make a decision right now. But the center of it is your joy and your peace and your happiness and your sense of love with this Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups is a really beautiful energy. In a negative context, it can be, again, something like being part of a community that parties too much, or that it is too indulgent or uses too much, for example, and you've recognized that just kept me down, or it held me back. That's coming through. It's like the explosion of the firework and the report is over, and now this is where all of it is settling with you, is this understanding. And there's a little bit of a feeling of enchantment present, because when you think about watching fireworks, they're enchanting. They're awe-inspiring, especially if you're watching a fireworks display, like put on by an organization or something. They're very kind of spellbinding and loud and awe-inspiring. There may have been that kind of quality of seduction in the past that had a quality of enchantment that you don't want to go back to. But the cornerstone card here is the Chariot. So you're succeeding in reconciling all of these things. It's not easy, and you may not fully see that you are succeeding and that you're empowered. Your strength are your friendships from the past. So this speaks to me of somebody like Nicole coming and spending time today and us reconnecting and hanging out and just enjoying one another's company. The Six of Cups here is like friends from the past. So this is, again, a trip to the past for some reason. You're reflecting on your past loves. It's your strength, though. You have strong relationships from the past. This can also represent your inner child, but I'm kind of not, well, with child's play, yeah. This could be memories from childhood. It could be a love from childhood with that Nancy Sinatra song again. That song is all about how they've known each other since they were kids, but there was child's play between them throughout, and possibly leading to like something like an actual lover's hate crime, right? Like a murder, like on Hey Joe. Hey Joe is a song that's coming through all of a sudden by Jimi Hendrix, which is a song that speaks to that, right? Like getting hurt and harming somebody because of that. Your shadow, by being willing to kind of go within and look back on your past, it's helping your shadow feel more integrated within you, and that you're moving forward by standing your ground. You're stepping into a time of empowerment where you get more of an equal give and take. In the scene world, you don't feel out of the woods yet, though. You're a little bit lost in this experience, which I think is partly that enchantment card here. You feel a little overwhelmed. And again, the ash tree is coming through. So taking in ash medicine, or going and sitting by an ash tree, or even just reading about ash and what is this plant spirit of ash tree, what can it do for you, might help bring some of that clarity. It's important to remember that you're in an empowered position. Where things are going is the Ace of Wands. So you're about to step into some exciting, new, passionate opportunity that you're currently on the threshold of. Lots of movement with this Chariot card. This is really exciting. It's almost like you're in a suspended animation right now as you look back on things. This can be considered something like a life review. An image came through recently in one of my obsidian mirror scrying sessions of A Christmas Carol, the story by, I don't remember who wrote A Christmas Carol. I don't think it's Charles Dickens, but with Ebenezer Scrooge. And Ebenezer Scrooge going along with those ghosts of the past and looking back with them on his past life. There's another symbol that came through at that time that I don't remember if I mentioned or not, but a parallel to Scrooge looking back on his life and taking stock is Dante going through the 7 or 9 layers of hell with the poet Virgil. There's something about that, like really looking back on this phase of your life. Don Quixote is coming through right now as well, which, if you know anything about Don Quixote, it's a very distinct first part of the book and then book 2. And in book 2, he's very much like grounded in this new wisdom after all of his adventures, but there's a lot of sorrow that comes with it for him, because a lot of that sort of zest and enjoyment of childhood was not so great at times for him. He was even mocked and used as something to be amusement for the upper classes because he was in his own world. Fighting his own dragons, right? Which were actually windmills in the eyes of others. So that quality is coming through of enchantment. But because you've been willing to kind of look back on your life, he renames himself the Knight of Rueful Countenance, the knight who's been sobered by life and by painful experience. It's been sobering, but it's also empowering. And you may not see that yet, but you're integrating all of these experiences of the past and memory, and relationships and fighting for yourself and surrendering, right? All of that is coming through. What you may not see is that you're about to step into the book 2 of your life, which is really lovely. What was this about? What has this been about for you, Scorpio? were the circumstances? You're at a crossroads, which is a time of power, just like we're saying that threshold between book 1 and book 2 in Don Quixote, where in the first part of the book, he's operating from this naivety almost. In book 2, he's empowered from all of his journeys and hard lessons. This is a crossroads. This 2 of Wands. You're learning how to integrate the things that used to trouble you and worry you, and that you could kind of get hyper-focused on without seeing the forest for the trees, possibly. You might be really looking and examining at the details, like really going through it, picking through the past, and with a fine-tooth comb just came through. It has to do with commitment and love. This is a marriage, but it doesn't mean a literal marriage. It can just mean past relationships or a particular relationship, and fairness and justice are part of that. This is also the Ace of Wands here. So it's a new beginning. You're on the threshold of a new start here. In your home life, in what's close to you. But it's not necessarily, it's what you build for yourself. It's not inside the home. It's not necessarily just who's going to be with you in the home, but it's how you build your new home, how you build your new life. And love. That's what's coming through here. And you're looking on the past, you're looking on the colors, you're looking on all of the ways that things happened in your life in the past, and where you don't want to go back, where you don't want to have repeats, where you want to grow beyond. You've got a little bit of being twisted up in the web right now, or not understanding necessarily how it all comes together, but you're right on the verge of having that aha, like, I get it. I've successfully integrated these things. I understand that I'm empowered. I've moved out of this illusory quality of where I'm fighting dragons, but the people around me think they're only windmills, right? Like, Don Quixote knew what he was up against. People around him didn't understand. The tides really start to turn in that book. It's a great book. If you ever have the patience to read one of the greats, it's a very long book. I didn't read it in Spanish, even though I speak Spanish. It was like trying to, for somebody who's not a native English speaker, to try to read Shakespeare or something. But I highly recommend that as a book if you've never read it. It has deep lessons. It's often considered the birth of the modern novel, right? Like, it's really, Cervantes wrote, it's just a masterwork. It changed my life when I read it for the better. And it had resonance for me because I was often on a path and in a world of perception that other people didn't see and didn't understand, and often then wrote me off or dismissed me as not as smart, not as clear-sighted, not as, well, you know what? I've integrated those experiences so much in my life that I do know I'm a wise person. I know it, whether other people see it or not. And that's kind of a similar transition. I'm not doing it justice, but I'm not Cervantes, right? Like, I'm not here to speak Don Quixote so you hear how incredible it is, but I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. It changed my life, truly, when I read that book. I felt seen, honestly, in a way that you might too, that might bring you some help. Like, I'm having an experience like that personally, where I'm in the process of fighting what other people I think see are windmills, but to me, I know they're real. So, figuring out how and where and what kind of home and life do you want now in this second chapter. So I'm going to pull one more card, and then I'll leave this layout for you and wish you a happy and safe and peaceful 4th of July, wherever you are in the world. Actually, no, it's saying no. Okay, not those. These. Yeah, beautiful. Let's see here. Peace, I think this is. Unfinished Symphony, so perfect for this theme. This is just stepping into book 2. It's an unfinished symphony in love. You've recognized where you're not going back. There's no going back on the journey. You're moving forward and out of a period of reflection. Unfinished business, an incomplete lesson, lack of closure, the need to make amends. This is a time to tie up loose ends as you near the completion of a cycle, this Two of Wands. You're successfully doing this, by the way. Just don't forget about that. You're empowered. This is a time to tie up loose ends as you near the completion of a cycle or project and mastery of a lesson or skill, just like Don Quixote. Book 2 is his mastery. Before you can move forward, it's important that you come to terms with where you are now. Practice radical acceptance. Take inventory so that emotional and psychological closure can occur, and the answers you seek will be found. You can't move forward if you are leaving things unfinished. Reflect on what has passed so that the symphony can finally end on a high note. Moving on is difficult when love lingers. Things are left unsaid and you haven't had the opportunity for closure in your relationship and in your heart. You can still feel bound up in relationships when closure is denied you. It's important to achieve this for yourself. Write that letter, make that call, or have that conversation over a cup of coffee. For peace of mind, accept matters as they are. Make amends if need be, and declare your feelings, even if only to yourself. Be clear about what was left unresolved and close the door on the past so that you can set yourself free. Only then can new love bloom, which is you're about to step into it. This Ace of Wands is coming. You're about to step into the new opportunity and a passionate new beginning. Prosperity, make sure you complete projects now before starting new ones. Perhaps and we're talking about this crossroads, right, in love. Perhaps you have created something special that will increase your sense of abundance and bring you opportunities for wealth. However, if you don't see it through, it won't add up to anything but more clutter. Now is the time to put your nose to the grindstone and complete the tasks that have accumulated. Pay your bills, sign the documents, do your filing, hand in an assignment, complete a work of art. Tie up loose ends so you can move forward with surety, knowing you're on the prosperous path and feeling refreshed and excited about the future. And that last card particularly has real resonance for me. So I very much appreciate you being here. I hope this reading has resonance for you and that it reached you at a time where it's affirming to hear this and grounding or stabilizing, because I'm sensing that you may feel a little ungrounded and unsure, and it's okay. You're right where you're supposed to be. Just take this time as this is wrapping up to wrap it up, to reflect, to know what's not coming with you, and you're going to be golden. It's a really beautiful layout. And these time frames, again, might have something for you. Like there's something right now, presently, that you should be doing, which is that. And maybe into the next year is when you're going to start seeing some of it lock into place for you. So thank you so much. Take good care of yourselves. Be safe. Go easy on the animals out there.